And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session ahead of the Portuguese Grand Prix, where the weather has taken a turn for the worse indeed, as we're looking at quite changeable conditions for Q1. Whether the weather will be like that for Q number 2, though, is going to be interesting. But we have wet weather for this qualifying session, and it hasn't left us. It left us alone for Monza, but this time around it didn't leave us alone for Portimao, as it looks like we're going to get a few extreme wet tyre runs from this session. But anyway, I'm JW97, and once again, I am joined by my arch nemesis, Ra.
Yep, hello again.
Yep, indeed, and we might as well, because we're now at the start of the session, might as well ask your prediction. Who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying?
I'm going to say both Williams, a Aston Martin, an Alfa Romeo. I'm going to say a Haas and a Renault.
Okay, I'm going to say both Williamses, both Aston Martins, and I'm going to say both McLarens, I think. I think both Alphas can actually get it through into Q2, in my opinion. But anyways, we're about to get underway for qualifying, as we are on extreme wet weather tyres, as Lopez will be the first to go out onto the track to test out these conditions around here at Portimao. And we're just looking at everybody else's predictions. There's only one prediction in the stream chat. Dennis has said both Aston Martins, both Williamses, and both Alfa Romeos will get eliminated. So that's that, really, as Lopez just comes out of turn number 4 as he now makes his way down towards the hairpin on the racetrack. There's a few more cars making their way out on track, just looking on the mini-map on the top right of your screen to see how many cars will make their way on the track. We've got Cupot, Lopez, Marcho, Quag, Willows, Brennan, Martins, Chong, Carr, and Chatfield now then out on the racetrack. 10 cars on track. Now we have 11, so half of the cars are now out on track here at the Portimao circuit as Lopez just comes out of the Samsung corner there before he makes his way down towards Craig Jones now then in the roller coaster part of the racetrack, hence the nickname roller coaster for this track, as Lopez makes his way around the Portimao corner now then, as he'll soon be starting his lap quite soon. He'll be hoping there's no traffic by the time he gets around to the first corner now then, as he makes his way into the final few turns on the racetrack. Through the left, right, and left, right he'll go, in fact. Just one more car needing to go out now then on the track, and I think they will do. So yep, all 22 cars are now out on track, and Lopez will not have any traffic on his first lap. Whether that will be the same for everybody else on the racetrack, we'll have to wait and see. But Lopez now then out of the final turn as he now prepares to start his first fine lap of Q1 now then, as he now makes his way down towards the first couple of the corners on the racetrack now then, as he now flicks the car in through turn 1 using a bit of curb on the inside and a little bit on the outside as well. Through turn 2 and then into turn 3 now then we will go, as having to get around that corner there, taking a little bit of more of aggression through into there. Looked like he took a bit of a wider line through into turn 3 there. As now Lopez approaches the end of the first sector, and he does a 25.607 in that first sector, just as he makes his way down towards the hairpin now then, as we wait to see who else is going to be approaching that first sector, which is coming up very soon, as I could see on that mini-map there. As Lopez comes towards her 7, 26.013 for Quagga, 26.362 for Perinin. So both Renaults 3 tenths apart from each other in that first sector there. As I wonder if they may be holding each other up or not. Maybe a miscommunication for Renault there. A 26.592 for Willows. A 26. I couldn't quite see what that says. A 1.126, I think that says, for Cupok. As a 1 minute 1.368 for Lopez. He just came out of that second sector there, just as he negotiates around the final 3 turns on the racetrack. So through into the left-hander goes Lopez, as now he'll make his way into the final couple of corners. He's got the yellow flag, and it's Roman Quag who's just had a spin coming around Portimao there. So Quag has made a bit of a mess of it, and I wonder if he's had a bit of an aquaplane there.
Yep, he's had a bit of aquaplane in there even before the corner before, and then loses it completely in the following corner.
Yep, so an error there for Quag, so he'll have to try again on the second lap to improve that one. As a bit of an error there for the Frenchman, as we now look at Franco Lopez, as for some reason the camera having a bit of trouble trying to detect Lopez there, as he's now coming out of the final turn and onto the pit straight now. Then he will go, and the benchmark time is going to be a 1 minute 31.9. He's got another yellow flag at that part of the track, and this time it's Martins who's just gone off, and he's actually lost his rear wing, so I wonder if somebody clipped him up the rear end there.
Has there something to do with Ron McCarthy? He is making an error there, is Martins. So this is not on my car's fault. This is Martin's making an error.
Yep, and their car was just really a passenger trying to avoid that as Martin's aquaplaned through up towards Portimao, so both of them are going to have to make a trip to the pits. A not ideal start for both Car and Martins on that occasion, and not exactly the start that they would have wanted to their laps. And I wonder if Roke actually got a little bit compromised from those two around Portimao there, and it looks like he didn't, thankfully. But yeah, Car just rejoining there right towards where he is at the moment as we now go back to the rest of the action now then, as Perinin goes second, Chatfield goes into second, the Ferrari livery back on, as that's Patel now who's gone for a spin around that part, so it seems that drivers are having difficulty around Portimao, and Patel trying to find a gap in the traffic, and yet he's also aquaplaned up at that part of the track as well.
Yeah, and I think he might have he just about avoided the Aston Martin front wing, or maybe he ran over it, maybe lost control, but he might just avoided that. But yeah, I think he was on a good lap as well. I think he did the 25.6, and someone else is off. Galloway, is he out?
And he's
Yes,
had
he
a
is. He's
crash.
lost the wheel.
He's had an accident. I wonder if somebody ran into the back of him there or not. As more lap times come in, Roker's gone to the top now. Berner's gone into third position, but that's Galloway's session done with. And I wonder what on earth happened to him there in that session, as Patel's having difficulty trying to get back onto the track. But what on earth happened to Jake Galloway there at that part of the track? It was down at the Samson corner there where it happened. Did somebody run into the back of him? And no, I think Galloway did it all on his own here.
Yeah, Galloway did it on his own, and yeah, bad mistake to make, and don't know how we lost his wheel. We'll probably figure that one out.
Oh, he's rejoined dangerously into the path of a Williams there. That Williams, I think, was that's Felix Sontag he's ran into there. So yeah, like I said, Galloway, that was all on him really.
Yeah, and this Q1 session has been the messiest Q1 sessions we've ever seen.
Yeah, indeed, and well, Galloway's session is done with as a result, as Patel is still having difficulty trying to get back onto the racetrack coming out of the hairpin, but more lap times are coming in as we speak, as Wilson's going to the 10th. De Rosa is also on into 10th position, and Patel is just clearly not learning from the previous exchange of trying to get the car going through into that part, as he's now once again having to wait for a gap in the traffic before he can finally rejoin. But this session is going to become a bit of a mess because everybody's going to be in all over the place when it comes to lap time, really. But Sontag back in the pits, Martin's back in the pits, 17 cars have just so far done a lap because we've had so much carnage as Sontag had to come back in the pits. But as a result of this chaotic session, of course, we're waiting for Patel to cross the line. Only really 17 cars at the moment have done a lap.
Yeah, only 17 cars have done a lap, and yeah, this has been a quite mess. And like Patel might have been stuck, but he is trying to get out there, but he's really spinning the car.
Yeah, indeed, and well, at the moment, the marshals are still attending to Jake Galloway's car at the moment, so that might take a bit of a while. As you can see with the yellow flag down there at the moment. But yeah, that's that really, as obviously he'll have the spare car ban put into him there, so he'll be starting right down at the back of the field, as now the yellow flags have been cleared down at that part, so I wonder if Galloway is now back in the garage. As a result, he is, so the spare car ban is being implemented on him as we speak. But yeah, chaos here at the moment here at Portimao, and Patel clearly struggling to get the car back onto the racetrack. As yeah, that's that really. As we now wait for the spare car ban to be implemented on Galloway here. As we'll then wait and see if Patel can get himself back out from that little mess that he's got going down outside of the Portimao corner. Everybody so far on the extreme wet tyres as we speak at the moment in this session. So yeah, that's that really, as we wait now then for the spare car ban to be implemented. But Roke currently at the top by 0.6 of a second ahead of Byrne in third, as the spare car ban has now been implemented. As Patel got it going, he's trying to, and well, I think this is the closest he's got to rejoining because he's close to the track on this part, but again, he's going for a bit of a spin here and really struggling to get the car moving. It's on a little bit of an awkward angle, that part of the track, because of how hilly it is, and clearly with the slippery grass, it's making it hard for Patel to get going, really, but has he been able to get it going now, as he's actually going to try and go to the side to see if he can get the car going on this occasion,
Yeah,
but he needs
and it's
to be...
overheating as well.
As well, do engines actually overheat on this game? I think they might do. So that might be a bit of a problem here for Patel if he can't get it going. As now
Yep.
the engine has blown up as a result, and well, he's really overheated that engine a bit too much there, really trying to get it going, and I think that's going to be Patel's session done with. So both Galloway and Patel are going to be at the back of the field as a result.
Yeah, but that's not what he needed, and that was a big mistake from Patel. Unfortunately, he had a good first sector. Now he's nope. He's just stopped. He was pretty close, but yeah, it's such an
I think
over
the engine
anyway
might
for
have
him.
died actually because it's rolling down the hill. I think his engine might have died. So I think that's that really. So that's Patel's session done with as a result, and he will not be taking any further part in this session at all. As there are some cars who are now out on track, as you can see on the mini map. And in fact, Chatfield, I think it is actually coming up. In fact, it might be one of the damaged cars, in fact, that is actually coming up to this corner where Patel is. But I think the marshals will get that cleared just before that car arrives. And yep, that being Armar car, of course, who lost his front wing a little bit earlier on. But that is Patel's session done with, and he will start at the back of the field as well, like with Jake Galloway. So a lot of work to do for those two in the race.
Yeah, a lot of work to do for those two, and yeah, both of them making errors of their own. Patel just struggling to get back in, get back to the circuit, and really overheat the engine as well. So that was not ideal for him, and just Galloway just a dangerous rejoin.
Yep, indeed, as Carr about to start a lap, but I think there is actually somebody coming out onto the track, in fact, so he might get held up here if he's not careful, as he just comes out of the first corner, and yep, there is a car in front, and it's actually the Red Bull of George Roke, oddly enough, the guy he's fighting for that second Red Bull seat, so that's not going to help him out at all in terms of lap time. There's a few more cars going out, as Patel is now going to get the spare car ban implemented on him here, so that's that. We might as well just wait for him to get the car ban just put onto him there. Now that he's now back into the garage thanks to that whole exchange, and I don't think Lamborghini are going to be too happy for him that he overheated the engine.
Yeah, yeah, Lamborghini won't be happy about that, but of course he is leaving Lamborghini at the end of the season, so I don't think he would care less about that one.
Yep, indeed, and of course now the spare car ban has been implemented. A few more cars now going out onto the track as we ride on board with Almar Carr, who's 7 tenths down on Roke in the first sector. How much is that is down to Roke himself? I'm not sure because he is right onto the back of traffic as a result, as he now just makes his way out of the hairpin now then before he makes his way towards the double right-hander. One of them, of course, being the Samsung corner now then, as now through turn 7 we go, then into turn 8 of Samsung. Looks like Roke's going to get held up by Hasse if he's not careful, as now coming out of Samsung he goes, as Roke trying to find a way through on that Hasse, coming out the corner, clearly having much better traction than what the Hasse is going around that part of the racetrack. So now approaching Portimao now then we go, as they now make their way through the right-hander now then, as now Carr finds himself 1.5 seconds off of Roke in the middle sector, so I'll be curious to see where the Mercedes ends up after this lap now then, as he just makes his way out of the final 3 turns on the racetrack now then, through into the penultimate turn, and then into the final corner we will go. Kloss still yet to go back out onto the track at the moment. He's got the pit indicator, but I do wonder if he's actually going to stay in the garage. In fact, I think he is, in fact, so he's the one that's being left behind on this occasion, regardless of the fact that Patel and Galloway are not taking any further part in this session. Carr across the line, and he goes into 5th place on his first lap, so 2.2 seconds off of George Roke as a result. Here is Joantas Martins, who's also yet to third time, because of course he also got damage in this session after he lost his rear wing from contact with Armar Carr after he had the aquaplane moment through into Portimao there. But Martins now then coming down the pit straight as the Brazilian now then comes across the line, and he goes into 10th place, 3.5 seconds off the pace there. As we now look at Sontag now then, who's also yet to get a lap in after he lost his front wing from Jake Galloway, rejoining dangerously onto the racetrack, as Sontag now then crosses the line in the Williams, and he goes into 18th position. Chatfield doesn't improve. Wilson starting her lap now then, as we look at Joseph Willows is up on his personal best, just making his way around the final turn. Willows currently in 12th position. Let's see if he can further improve on that now then. Willows across the line he will go, and he goes into 10th place, 2.9 seconds off of George Rote. Lopez doesn't improve, he stays in 2nd place. Laura Chung up on her personal best. She's currently in 9th place, as Chung now then will come across the line, and she loses time in the last sector and remains in 9th position. position at the moment. In fact, she was only 41 thousandths up on her personal best in that middle sector that time by. We now look at Andre Verderi now then in the Aston Martin. He's just making his way around that final turn now then, and onto the pit straight he will go as Andre Verderi now then comes across the line in the Aston Martin, and he goes into 16, finds some time in the last sector and goes P16 for the moment. De Rosa, no improvement. Quag goes up into 7th place. Roke, meanwhile, no improvement, says on 131.308. Mocho stays in 6th position for the moment in the Haas, as meanwhile Perinen goes 13th for the moment, as Byrne didn't improve, he stays in 3rd. Here comes Jamie Griffiths now then, who's up on his personal best now then in the Williams, just making his way up the hill. Can the Welshman improve? Across the line he goes, and no, he can't. Loses time in the last sector and remains down in 19th to 2 Williamses, over 5 seconds off the pace at the moment. Gal, meanwhile, currently 15th, up on his personal best. Can he improve himself as he now makes his way onto the pit straight? And Gal, across the line he goes into 7th place, 2.5 seconds off the pace at this stage as they now make their way down the... that's that, really. Okay. Well, the way that Flo did it in Formula 2, he based it on who was quickest in the first 2 sectors, really. So, I don't know if you've got it on the screen, if you've got it on the left-hand side there. I don't know if it shows it on that timing screen. And, well, that's what Flo did. He based it on the sector times, really. That's how he decided it between Broster and, who was the other one? It was Sazonov. That was the other one. That's how he based the grid on. But if you're going to do it a different way, Yuri, then I'd just base it on garage order, really. So that would mean that it would be Galloway in front of Patel if that was the case. And that's that. Oh, you want to talk about practice? Okay, fair enough. Let's see then, as I do think we have the timing, as I think we did have the timing screen up at that point. So who was quickest in practice? Okay, so that's how Yuri's going to do it. Looking at practice, as I don't think many people improved. In fact, actually, whilst I'm here, whilst everybody's in the garage, I'm going to quickly take a look, in fact, to see who was actually quickest in practice between those two. So, do bear with, unless somebody in the stream chat beats me to the punch. Let me spit my words out there. Let's have a look whilst everybody's in the garage at the moment. So, let's just quickly have a look if YouTube finally decides to load up, which it does. Let's just have a look then, as just going to have a look. It was, in the end, if I play towards the end of it, there we go. The quickest in the end between Galloway and Patel was actually Galloway. So Galloway was the quickest out of those two. So I would say Galloway 21st and Patel in 22nd position, because that's how it was in practice. Galloway was ahead of Patel in that session. So P21 for Galloway and P22 for Rahul Patel then. So that's that, really. And, of course, that will be reflected in the graphic then. So that's that, really. As now we go back to the action, and I've also noticed, whilst I was looking there to see who was quickest between Galloway and Patel, the sky looks to be getting a little bit brighter, and I think the rain has started to ease a little bit. So could we be looking at some improved conditions here,
Yeah, we could be seeing some improved conditions. Right now, Klaus is on the extreme wet, so no one's going out for the normal wets at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see.
Indeed, as now we look at Kloss, who's just making his way down towards Craig Jones, as he'll be starting his lap quite soon now then, as he now makes his way towards the double right-hander of Portimao, as I would think these will be the final 5 laps of qualifying, because we've only got over 3.5 minutes to go in this session now then, as it looks like Kloss will be the first to do a lap. Of course, everybody's going to be in a little bit of a mixed-up order because of everything that happened on the first flying lap, of course. So, Kloss now then just making his way into the final couple of corners he will go on the racetrack. So through the penultimate turn and then into the final corner now then we'll go Bartosz Kloss in the Haas now then, as now through the final turn and onto the pit straight goes Bartosz Kloss in the Haas, as he now makes his way onto the pit straight. And Bartosz Kloss now then, he's going to start his first flying lap now then, not first flying lap, his final flying lap I should say. Got the wording a bit mixed up there. Just looking on the right hand side, there is a car coming out, and I think that might be his own teammate, in fact. So I think Haas might have done a bit of a blunder here of letting Mocho out right in front of Kloss, because I think Kloss's time as a result is going to get impacted by his own teammate.
Yeah, and we saw it last race, and now we're seeing it here in qualifying. So well done, Haas.
Yep, indeed, as Kloss now then coming up towards the end of the first sector, 1.4 seconds off thanks to that hold up at 2.2 seconds off of Roke's time in the first sector. So yeah, don't think we're looking at an improvement here for Barcic Kloss. I think as a result, he'll have to hope that he's done enough to get through, because he's currently in 9th place, Mocho in 6th, so far both Hassers could be going through into Q2 at the moment. So far in the drop zone, apart from the two that obviously ended their session, that being of course Galloway and Patel, we have Wilson, Videri, Griffiths and Sontag currently in the drop zone at this stage, as Kloss now making his way through the left-hander as well. He gets a little bit of a moment through into Portimao, and that's his lap in the bin as a result, as he's gone wide through into Portimao, and well, if his lap wasn't already wrecked by his own teammate, it's definitely wrecked now.
Yep, definitely wrecked now for him, and he might hold up some cars behind.
That is Chatfield now then out on track he goes, as he's down on his personal best in that first sector, as he now makes his way through into the Samsung corner now then. On at the racetrack, just coming out the turn he will go before making his way down towards Craig Jones now then through the left, and the double right-hander we will soon go. So through the left we go, and then into the double right-hander now then we go. As now through the right-hander goes Chatfield, is now making his way down the hill through into the left-hander. 3.1 seconds off and 2 seconds off his personal best. I do wonder if he got held up by that car in front of him coming out the pitch, which is a Red Bull, so I do wonder if Chatfield got held up or not. And if that's the case, then really, then I'm not expecting Chatfield to improve. He is currently up in 4th place though, as in fact 4th downwards at over 2 seconds off of Roke. In fact, it's only really the top 3 that are under a second between each other in this session. But Chatfield now then, around the final corner he goes now then, onto the pit straight will go the Ferrari driver, as he now crosses the line, and he doesn't improve, he stays in 4th. Willow's also not up on his personal best, currently in 12th place. Valdinger stays in the pit, so he'll be hoping he's done enough to get through into the next part of qualifying, because he's currently in 15th position. Willow's now then, across the line he goes in the McLaren, and no improvement for him, he stays where he is. Gal getting one more lap on the board. Sontag doesn't improve and he is out, he stays in 20th position, as now Martins comes across the line himself, and he stays in, where is he, 13th at the moment. As meanwhile, De Rosa up on his personal best, meanwhile, up by 9/10 on his personal best in that middle sector, as De Rosa now then out of the final corner and onto the pit straight will go the McLaren driver, of course staying at McLaren for next season, and De Rosa goes up into 11th position. So now Valdinger just in the cusp of the top 16 threshold, is now Quarg currently up on his personal best. Meanwhile, he's currently, where is he at the moment? Currently in 8th place, as Quarg now then comes across the line. Can he improve? And yes, he can. He goes up into 6th place. Lopez doesn't improve. He stays in 2nd place. Macho up on his personal best, currently P7. He now crosses the line and he goes up into 4th. A good effort for him there. Carr now goes up into 2nd place. A big improvement for him, as now Roke doesn't improve. He stays on 131.308. Griffiths is not up on his personal best, so at the moment it looks like he's also going to be eliminated, just like teammate Sontag. As now Griffiths out of the final turn and onto the pit straight will go the Williams driver, as he now crosses the line, as he's got Cupot behind. Cupot goes up into 6th position. Griffiths doesn't improve. He is out. He stays in 19th position. Chung across the line. She doesn't improve and stays in 12th. Wilson down the pit straight. She's in the drop zone, but she's not up on her personal best. She crosses the line and she doesn't improve. So Wilson is out, as she stays in 17th. Videri also not up on his personal best, and he is out. He stays in 18th. So that's pretty much the bottom 6 sorted, really. So the bottom 4 stay as they are. They're out, of course, along with Galloway and Patel as well, who, of course, ended their session early. Galloway because he crashed out, and Patel because he blew up his engine. So Gal across the line, he will go now then in the AlphaTauri, and he stays in 9th position. As we now look at Perinen, who's up on his personal best, he's currently in 15th position. His teammate Quarg is currently in 8th, so let's see what Perinen could do as he's up on his personal best. The Spaniard now then, around the final turn he goes, and onto the pit straight will go Jesus Perinen in the Renault, as he's now going to cross the line. Can he improve? And he can, but only into 13th position, just ahead of Joseph Willows there. And I think that is the session done with, as a result, with Roke top, Carr second, and Lopez in third. And your bottom 6, as a result, are Amelia Wilson, Andre Videri, Jamie Griffiths, Felix Sontag, Jake Galloway due to crashing out, and Rahul Patel due to blowing up his engine. Of course, Galloway will start in front of Patel due to setting a quicker time than him in practice. So that's the bottom 6 done with, and pretty chaotic Q1 there. So we're just going to take a brief pause for a moment whilst we get Q2 prepared to go. Of course, it will still be wet for Q2, but in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you'll be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm just going to mute myself and get the tweet prepared for Twitter, so apologies if I go silent for the moment. The tweet is now up on Twitter, and well, a very, very interesting Q1, it is fair to say, after that whole exchange. And well, could we expect more of the same in Q2, Ra?
Maybe, but we'll have to wait and see on what the weather conditions will be like. Will it be extremes or will it be lighter than that?
Yeah, indeed. Of course, we are expecting wet conditions, of course, because of the new weather rule that Yuri brought in at the beginning of this season. But yeah, as Ra has to disappear for the moment. But anyway, as obviously we now wait to see what Q2 has in store for us. Whether it's going to be as chaotic as Q1, it's going to be a bit of a question mark, but it will be interesting to see how this session really plays out, really, and it should be quite an interesting one. So that's that really, as we wait now then for Q2 to get underway here in qualifying. And a reminder as well, because Jay and Ra did not set a time, it will mean that it will go towards their practice results, and Galloway will be 21st and Patel in 22nd. We are then, and it looks like it's going to be intermediate conditions then for Q2, because that's usually the colour code for when we have inter tyres. So anyway, without further ado, let us get on with the next part of qualifying. So I have to ask you, Ra, who do you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying?
I'm gonna say, well, Ben's, Martin's, I'm gonna say someone interested. It's gonna be intermediates, it seems. And AlphaTauri, Laura, and I'm gonna say a McLaren.
Okay, I'm going to say both McLarens will get eliminated. I'm going to also say Valdinger will get eliminated. Martins will get eliminated. I think I'm also going to say a Renault will get eliminated. I'm going bold and saying a Renault will get eliminated. And I'm also going to say... Who else am I going to say? I'm going to say Chung will get eliminated in the Lamborghini. So that's my prediction there. And as expected, they are out on the intermediate conditions, and the sky is a little bit more brighter. We'll have to wait and see if we'll get these similar conditions for Q3 as well. But the conditions, as we saw towards the end of Q1, did start to get a little bit more lighter. And now we're into the intermediate conditions now then here at Portimao with David Cupark, the first one on the track, as we read everybody else's predictions now then in the stream chat. Dennis has said Valdinger, both McLarens, Martins, Mocho, and Chung. Kurisu has said Valdinger, Martins, Chatfield, both AlphaTauris, and a Haas. She believes that both McLarens will go through into Q3. That will be quite interesting to see if they can pull that one off. But anyways, we now look at Q-Pock is just coming out of Samsung now then, as he now makes his way down towards the Craig Jones corner. And given there's no rain about, you do wonder if there may be a dry line that might emerge during this session. That's also something to keep an eye on as well, and potential changeable conditions here. So Q-Pock now then around the left-hander now then he will go, as he now makes his way into the final couple of turns he will go. And then into the penultimate corner. All 16 cars are now out on track, so Q-Pot will not get any traffic on his first flying lap now then, as Q-Pot now then comes out of the penultimate turn, and now into the final corner will go the German drivers. He now makes his way around the final corner and onto the pit straight now then will go David Q-Pot in the AlphaTauri, as he will now start his lap, which he does, as now he makes his way down towards the first couple of corners on the racetrack now then. Down towards turn 1 we go, so through turn 1. And then into turn 2 now then goes Q-Puck, as he'll now make his way into the third corner on the racetrack. So through the right and left-hander now then he will go, as he now goes up the hill through that left-hander. He will go as he makes his way onto the back straight and approaching the end of the first sector. Goes David Q-Puck, and he does a 23.613 in the first sector. What is everybody else doing as well? That is the question. The 23.514 for Chatfield. So Chatfield is up on Q-Puck in that first sector. 23.774 for DeRosa, so 1/10 down on Q-Puck. On that occasion, a 23.769 for Chung. So Chung only just up on DeRosa on that occasion. A 23.580 for Roke in the first sector there. He's in fact a little bit down on Chatfield there. A 22.905 for teammate Byrne though. So Byrne getting into the 22s there in the first sector, as now Q-Puck approaches the end of the second sector now then. It does a 56.379 now then, as he comes up towards the final 3 turns on the racetrack. Q-Puck flicking it in through the left-hander, and now into the final couple of the corners will go Q-Puck in the AlphaTauri. So through the penultimate turn, through this right-hander, and now into the final corner goes David Q-Puck in the AlphaTauri now then. Through the final turn and onto the pit straight now then will go the German driver, as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and it's a 1:24.581. Chatfield across the line, and he goes quickest by 0.2 of a second. Here comes Kirishima DeRosa in the McLaren. He crosses the line and he goes into third, 7/10 off of Chatfield. Chung across the line in the Lamborghini, and she goes into third, finding some time on DeRosa in the end there then. Roke goes quickest by 0.3 of a second. Gal goes into sixth, as Carr crosses the line and he goes into second, 1/10 off of George Roke. He was up on Roke in the first sector, as Byrne now goes 1.6 seconds quicker with a 1:22.397, so a good lap there for Byrne. Valdinger across the line, only P6 for him, 2.4 seconds off of Byrne. Here comes Michael Mocho now in the Haas. He now crosses the line himself, and he goes into 4th position, 1.9 seconds off of Byrne. Roman Quarg 6/10 down on Byrne in the middle sector. He's now going to cross the line, and he goes into 2nd place, 1 second off of Byrne in the end. Lopez across the line, and he goes into 3rd, 1.4 seconds off his rival Byrne. Perrin across the line in the Renault, and he goes only 9th, 2.2 seconds off former teammate Byrne. Martins across the line goes into 11th. Joseph Willows in the McLaren, he now crosses the line. He was 2 seconds off of Byrne, and he goes into 15th place only, as it's P number 12 for Kloss there. So that's that really. Not the best first laps for both Gal and Willows there, but yeah, a very good first lap for Byrne there. Clearly comfortable on the intermediate conditions.
Yep, and same could be said for Valdinger and Martins, 10th and 11th for them.
Yep, indeed, and well, that's the first flying laps done then for Q2, and now make their way back into the pits now then. No sign of any dry lines forming at the moment here at the Portimao circuit, as now Q-Pop making his way back into the pit lane now then. And he'll be preparing to go out a little bit later on if he can now then, as now he's just waited to see where his mechanics are in the pit lane, which are there, and he'll be going out a little bit later on to see if he can try and improve on that. His teammate Gal currently down in 15th place, over 3 seconds off at the present moment. Valdinger though currently in the top 10 at the moment for Alfa Romeo, so a pretty good first lap for him, but whether he can hold on to that or not, Ro, I think that's another question.
Yeah, that would be another question indeed for Ben Vollinger. Let's see if he can improve, then it could be good. Same for Martins, but they'll need to improve by quite a lot here.
Indeed, as Gal now then gets wheeled back into the garage himself. You can see just in front of Q-Pot there, as Kloss and Willows are still the only two out on the track at the moment, as they'll be now heading into the pits at the end of this lap now then. Just over 9 minutes to go in this session now then, as so far in the drop zone we have Martins, Kloss, Chung, De Rosa, Gal and Willows at this stage, as Macho now again gets wheeled back into the garage. As now we wait to see what the next laps have in store now then. There's Macho looking to do a good job here at his home race here at Portimao. So that's that, as Kloss now comes back in. So far in the drop zone is the Belgian Grand Prix winner Bartosz Kloss. Whether he can improve on that or not, we'll have to, of course, wait and see, as Kloss will now get wheeled back into the garage now then. As we wait to see who's going to get out first for the next runs here in qualifying, as it looks like a Ferrari is getting out there first of all, that being Chris Chatfield. So he beats Q-Pop this time out on the racetrack, as now out on the track will go the Ferrari driver. There is rain on the camera, as you can see at the moment, but it's so far still intermediate conditions here at Portimao, as Chatfield now then just comes around turns 2 and 3 now then. And so that's that, as Chatfield up the hill he goes. Through the left-hander he goes now then, as he now makes his way onto the back straight before heading down towards the hairpin pretty soon on this racetrack, with just under 8 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine the grid for the Portuguese, or not to determine the grid, to determine who's going to go through into the final part of qualifying here at Portimao, as a few more cars have gone out. Roker's gone out, Kara's gone out, Q-Pop has gone out, as has De Rosa, and now Laura Chung has just come out onto the racetrack as well, as now through into the Craig Jones corner there goes Chris Chatfield now then. Of course, he will be staying at Ferrari next season. Of course, that was confirmed, of course, last week at Monza. A bit of a question mark as to who will be his teammate at Ferrari next season, given that Jake Galloway won't be on the top class grid in 2023 as a result of him not signing up for the top class in time, and whether he'll end up in either DTM, Formula E or World Champ Car for next season is going to be a question. But anyway, Chris Chatfield now then making his way towards the final corner now then on the racetrack, with just over 7 minutes to go in this session now then, as he makes his way onto the pit straight as he starts his second flying lap now then. There's still 4 cars in the pit lane, Perrin and Martins, Kloss and Willows, but it looks like Chatfield's going to get a clearing, although there was a car that just came out, but I think there's just enough of a gap between Chatfield and the car that's just gone up to turn 3 there, as he now makes his way through into that corner, and it's a Renault that's just come out on track, so that will, of course, I think, be Jesus Perrin at this stage, but I think Chatfield's just got enough of a gap to not get held up by the Renault at that point, as he's 2 tenths up on his personal best in the first sector, 3 tenths off of Byrne through sector 1 there, as he now rounds the hairpin on the racetrack now then. Heading out of the turn and up this little hill before approaching turns 7 and 8. One of the corners, of course, turn 8 being the Samsung corner. As now into turn 8 now, then we'll go Chatfield before heading down towards Craig Jones on the racetrack. He is getting close now to the back of that Renault, so I do wonder if he is going to get held up by Perrin or not. As he now around Craig Jones now then into the self-named Portimao corner, and Chatfield taking a wider line as a result of being close behind the Renault there. And in the middle sector, he's still up but by 4 tenths of a second, but I do wonder if that wide moment might have cost him a bit there in terms of lap time. We shall wait and see. Chatfield through the left hand goes, getting up to the gearbox now of Jesus Perrin now then, as they now round the penultimate corner, and I wonder if Chatfield will line up the Renault for a pass perhaps into the first corner now then, as they now make their way into the final turn. Down the hill we go. And is Chatfield going to try and pass Perrin and ruin his lap? Let's see, as Chatfield now then crosses the line, and he goes into 3rd place, in fact, so helped a bit with slipstream, so he goes P3. Maybe without that wide moment, he could have been a little bit more quicker, who knows? But Roke is up on his personal best, meanwhile, as he now makes his way onto the pit straight, across the line, and he goes into 3rd place, takes 3rd back off well, he briefly took it off Chatfield, but now Carr goes up into 2nd place in the Mercedes, 5 tenths off of Byrne. Across the line goes De Rosa, no improvement for him. Q-Pop doesn't improve. Kloss starts a lap, meanwhile, in the hat, as he's desperate to get out of the drop zone. Chung is up on her personal best, meanwhile. She's also in the drop zone. It is the Lamborghini driver. Can she bump Valdinger into the drop zone? Let's see. It's Chung now then. Across the line, she will go, and she goes up tonight, so Valdinger now being pushed down into the drop zone as a result. Quarg, currently in 3rd place, makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line, He will go, and he does not improve. Gao, meanwhile, up on his personal best, and he's currently in the drop zone at the moment. Is the AlphaTauri driver. As Gao comes out of the final turn and onto the pit straight, he will go as the Hungarian crosses the line, and he goes into 12th position. He's still in the drop zone as a result. Valdinger not up on his personal best. Can he find any time in the left sector to get back into the top 10? And no, he can't. He stays P11. Lopez up on his personal best, meanwhile. Can he go to the top? I don't think he will, but he does go into 4th place. An improvement there for the championship leader. Macho across the line, and he stays in 7th place. Byrne across the line and stays on a 1:22.397, way off his personal best in the end there. Then Perinen, thanks to the hold up with Chatfield, he's not on an improvement. He's currently in the cusp of the top 10 as Perinen now then crosses the line in the Renault, and he stays P10 thanks to that hold up with Chatfield. Willow's up on his personal best. Can he improve as now the McLaren driver crosses the line and goes into 7th, pushing Perinen into the drop zone there. So a very good lap for Willows. Martins doesn't improve. He stays in 14th place. As we look at Kloss, meanwhile, Kloss is on a lap meanwhile in the Haas, and he's up on his personal best, but I wonder if that bit of traffic might have held him up there. Kloss across the line, and he doesn't improve thanks to that bit of traffic. He was up on his personal best, and he stays down in 15th as a result, and I wonder if he's going to have enough time left to do a lap or not. I'm not sure, because there's only, 3.5 minutes left in the session, so I wonder if he's going to be in a bit of trouble here.
I think he is, and I think he's out of colour. He's going to be out here. So Cross is going to be out, it seems.
So anyway, Kupok in the top 10. Meanwhile, his teammate Gal still in the drop zone at the moment as we wait to see if anybody else is going to go out on track or not. With just 3.25 minutes to go in this session, I should say. As 2.1 seconds, Kupok is behind Evan Byrne. Just bear.
Yeah. Kupok in 9th and Gal in 13th right now. Just over 3 tenths. Well, less than 3 tenths behind is Gal, so he's got to find a lot of time. But will he have enough time? Will he be able to get out on time? We'll have to see.
Gal now getting wheeled back into the garage now then, as we have just over 2.5 minutes to go now then in this session, as the Ferrari looks like it's going out on the track. That's being Chris Chatfield, so he'll get one more lap before the session comes to an end, as he now makes his way out onto the racetrack now then, as through turns 1, 2 and 3 he will go now then, as anybody else going to join him on the track. He's the only one out there at the moment, just trying to look on the mini-map to see if there's any movement in the pit lane meanwhile, as I think there is, but I don't know if that's because they're coming in or that's or they're going out on the track. I'm not sure. So anyway, Chatfield making his way down towards the hairpin now then, as he'll prepare for his final flying lap of the session now then, as he'll now approach the double right-hander. He will go on the racetrack, as just trying to see if there's any dry lines emerging, but it doesn't look like there is at the moment. It looks like it's just going to remain wet for the remainder of the session, so it'll be interesting to see if that's still the same case when we get to Q3. But yeah, that's that really, as a car is on track, as the seconds tick down. So there are 2 cars now out on the racetrack, but nobody in the drop zone at the moment has gone out onto the track, as we get to 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, and I think that might be it. In fact, I did see there was somebody on the minimap that went out, but it was not somebody from the drop zone. So Perinen, Valdinger, Gal, Martins, Kloss and De Rosa, those 6 drivers have been eliminated as a result, as Chatfield is about to start his next flying lap in the Ferrari. But yeah, disappointment for both Perinen and Kloss.
Yeah, disappointment for those 2. You can also say the same for Miklas Gal as well, who is in 13th. But yeah, also a big disappointment down in 15th. He was in 16th behind Johannes Martin. So a good qualifying for Valdinger, who will be in 12th, and Martins in 14th.
And good job for Joseph Willows to get the McLaren through into Q3. So it's the second race in a row that the McLaren will go into Q3, but I think it's the first time since last season that Willows will make his way into Q3 as a result, because Kiro was the one that got into Q3 last time out in Monza for McLaren. This time it is Joseph Willows. Excuse me. As now we look at Chatfield, is just making his way around turn 7 and 8 now then on the racetrack, as he's on his final flying lap of Q2. Just coming out of Samsung now, then he goes, as now Chatfield making his way down through Craig Jones. He will go now then through this left-hander, as now into the double right-hander of Portimao will go the Ferrari driver, and let's see what his sector 2 time is going to look like as he approached Sector 2, and he is up on his personal best by 6,000 of a second. Of course, that's where he ran wide a little bit earlier on, so you would imagine he's going to gain some time from that, but he's not going to have the slipstream from the Renault of Perinin in front of the result. The checker flag is now out, signifying the end of the session now then, as Chatfield comes towards the final corner now then. He's already through anyway, but we'll see what he can do anyway on this lap. Chatfield now then onto the pit straight, and across the line will go the Ferrari driver. Can he improve? And no, he can't. Thanks to the no slipstream, he stays in sixth. Car is not on his personal best, but he doesn't need to anyway. He's in third place. It looks like he's safe enough to go through into Q3 anyway, because of course the bottom six have already been secured. As now Car making his way around the final couple of corners on the racetrack now, then he will go, as Car will now make his way into the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then he will soon go, as the Mercedes driver goes onto the pit straight, and across the line will go the Merc driver, and he does not improve, stays in second place, 5 tenths off, as Willows is just getting some mileage in. Quag is not up on his personal best, not that he needs to anyway. He is through into Q3 anyway. And so that's that really. We'll just wait for Quag now then to cross the line. For some reason, we're not looking at Quag, even though he is on a lap. I think Yuri just had a little bit of I think he misread that. I think there with Quag, I'm pretty sure he is on a lap, because he said he didn't have a pit indicator on. So I think we need to wait for him to cross the line in the Renault. But yeah, that's that really. Is we just wait to get back onto the track. I think Yuri just did a little bit of an error there. Didn't realise that Quag was still on a lap in the Renault. So, yeah, that's that. So, let's go back to the Renault of Roman Quag, who is... there he is. So, now he's just approaching the final couple of corners on the racetrack. Goes the Frenchman, as he will now make his way into the final corner. Onto the pit straight now, then we will go as Quag. I'm not expecting him to improve unless he can find some miracle in the last sector, but he doesn't, and he stays in third position. And now Q2 is over with Burn quickest out of Car and Quag, and your bottom 6 as a result. If we get to the results screen, when we can, of course, as the bottom 6, of course, on the screen are, of course, Jesus Perinen, Bent Valdinger, Mikolas Gal, Johannes Martins, Bartosz Kloss, and Kira Shima de Rosa. So we're just going to take a brief pause for a moment whilst we get Q3 prepared. But in the meantime, let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Portuguese Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm just going to mute myself and get the tweets prepared for Twitter. So apologies if I go silent for a little bit. Okay, the tweet is now up on Twitter, and that's a very very interesting Q2. Not as it wasn't as chaotic as what we saw in Q1, of course, but it was still quite an interesting session. But yeah, a bit of work to do, I think, for both for Perinin tomorrow as well, being down 11th once again. Renault inconsistency creeping in.
Yeah, Renault inconsistency for him, and yeah, the inconsistency is really cost them a lot here. But of course, they do have a good gap at third in the Constructors' Championship, but if they lose points to either Haas, AlphaTauri, Ferrari, and even Lamborghini, it could be a battle for third.
Yeah, I think Yuri's only just realised that he didn't put up the graphic when what he was supposed to. I think people saw him leave the game as a result to sort whatever needs to be done for Q3 there. So clearly Yuri having a bit of a brain fade there. But anyway, as
Nice job.
As that's that really. As we wait now for the third part of qualifying to get underway. Should be interesting as well in terms of the. We're just waiting for the third session to happen. It seems that Yuri's just said he's concentrating on allergy issues at the moment. It seems that I wonder if you got hay fever then, Yuri, because we are at that point of the year, unless it's another allergy that you're talking about. But anyway, as the dog commentator's going off in the background as per usual. Great. As that's that really, but it should be an interesting qualifying. So far, the Red Bulls have topped both qualifying sessions, but of course, if the conditions are somewhat dry, we did see that the the Mercedes looked pretty quick looked pretty quick in practice in the dry conditions, but given that we're expecting more wet conditions, we'll have to wait and see if that's still going to be the case. As wait now then for the next session to happen, of course, this 15-minute session to determine who will take pole position for tomorrow's Portuguese Grand Prix. And yeah, it was only Kira that got announced, George. It was the only one that got announced for this week. No one else got announced. So yeah, that's that really. As now we wait to see who is going to be quickest in Q3. And already we've had some moments throughout this session. Of course, what happened in Q1, of course, with Galloway crashing out, and of course Ra blowing up an engine, Rahul Patel that is. And well, we'll have to see if anything else is going to kick off in this final part of qualifying. Apologies for dog commentator going off the rails. Clearly she's too excited at the moment. So that's that really. As we wait to the next session to happen, of course. As of course, I'll obviously ask Ra who's going to get pole position in just a bit when we get into the qualifying session. And of course, you can still leave yours in the stream chat, guys, as to who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Portuguese Grand Prix. It'll be interesting to see what the weather will be like in tomorrow's race as well, whether it'll be sunny or rainy for that. And well, it could be quite an interesting one if it's rainy, but of course we'll have to wait and see when we get to tomorrow, of course. A reminder as well, because we did mention this in practice as well, in terms of Formula E, the provisional date for that is scheduled to be next Tuesday after the qualifying session for the Japanese Grand Prix for the top class, because of course for anybody who isn't aware, Formula 2 isn't on this week. Formula 2 is having a week break next week and will be back the following week for their wildcard race, which of course will get revealed after the race later on tonight at 7 PM BST. So after that race, of course, we will get the reveal of what the wildcard race is going to be. So yeah, that's that really for Formula 2, as we just now wait for the session to happen, which has come up now. So that's that really. So we're about to get underway for the final part of qualifying, and it looks like it's once again going to be into conditions. There's a tiny chance of maybe normal wet conditions happening. There was a tiny little bar there where it could be normal wets, but it looks like it's going to be intermediate conditions for the final part of qualifying. So I might as well ask you, Ra, who do you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Portuguese Grand Prix?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Eppenberg.
I'm going to say George Roke. I think Roke will make it another pole position, and so because he's been a little bit of a pole king this season as George Roke, and I think that's still continuing. But it looks like the drivers are going to start out on the normal wet conditions to start off with. So that's that. So it'll be interesting to see whether they'll be on the softer or the harder compound on normal wet to start off with. But we did see on the weather graphic it's more likely to turn to intermediate conditions as the session progresses. So Because it might be changeable, Ra, could we potentially have a mixed-up grid here?
Yeah, we could see that happening, and maybe we might see that at the first runs, knowing we're all on the normal wet. So some might be on the soft compound tire, and some might be on the hard.
Indeed, as we're going to wait for the first run to happen, as we can see that somebody's left the garage, and Q-Pop's about to get going, but I think somebody's going to beat him to the punch looking at the mini-map, and yep, it's a Red Bull, and it's going to be Evan Byrne that's going to go out on track first of all for Red Bull Racing. So out on the track then goes Evan Byrne in the Red Bull as he now makes his way down towards the first 3 turns. The racetrack now then, as we're on the normal wet tyres to start off with, but you could expect maybe interconditions to play a part in this session due to what we saw on the weather graphic on the plus 15 mark. So Byrne now then through into the left-hander, he will go as he will now make his way towards the hairpin now then, down the hill he goes. As now he'll be preparing to start a lap. Also on the track we have Quag, Chatfield, Keepot, Lopez and Mocho. Let's read everybody's predictions now then in the stream chat whilst everybody's now getting prepared. So we can see Dennis has said Franco Lopez will get pole. Kurisu has said George Roke for pole. Chris Chatfield has said Franco Lopez will get pole position. Maggle was undecided. He went with either Roke or Car, but he also said Mocho because of he could have also said Mocho as well due to the wet conditions, maybe hoping that the changeable conditions come into play on that one. But all 10 cars are now out on the racetrack as now Byrne makes his way into the final few turns on the racetrack now then. As now Byrne comes up down towards the final couple of corners as he will now prepare to start his first flying lap of Q3 now then as Byrne prepares himself through into the final corner. Goes Evan Byrne in the Red Bull now then as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and Evan Byrne is now going to start his lap now then, and Byrne now making his way down towards the first few turns on the racetrack now then as he now flicks the car in through turn 1. And then into turn 2 now then he will go, as now he will prepare himself for turn 3 on the racetrack now then as he flicks the car in through that right-hander. And now into the left-hander will go Evan Byrne in the Red Bull as he now makes his way onto the back straight now then. Let's see what his first sector time is going to look like. It's a 24.310 in Sector 1. Somebody else is approaching the first sector very soon, looking on the mini-map there. A 25.032 for Roman Quag in that first sector there. A 24.80, I think that says 800 there for Chris Chatfield, so 8 exactly. 24.066 for Mocho there. 27.2 for Kupok. Has he made a mistake somewhere, or was he getting held up at all? Kupok has had a pretty poor first sector. Has he made a mistake somewhere on the racetrack? Yes, he has, through into the first corner.
Yep, I think he might flip the curb, and we might could have wanted to see that again a bit better, but it will do. But yeah, we're gonna have to see that one again. Let's see. He clips the curb, takes too much curb, it seems.
Yep, so Kupok pushing a bit too hard and his lap down in the drain as a result of that. As Byrne comes up towards the end of Sector 2, a 57.340 for Byrne in that middle sector. Of course, don't forget as well, there is a soft and hard compound of the normal wet, so if there is big gaps, then you'll understand why. As now Byrne making his way into the final couple of corners on the racetrack now, then he will go, as now Byrne will make his way into the final corner, and now onto the pit straight he will go now then. As in fact I think Byrne might be on the harder compound of the normal wet, because Quag set a better middle sector there, but Byrne a 125.054. In fact I might have read that wrong. In fact I think I read that a little bit wrong there for Quag, because he's now going to be 2.3 seconds slower in second place. Chatfield crosses the line, goes Pito. Michael Mocho now then makes his way onto the pit straight and he goes into third position. David Kupok in the Alpha Tauri now crosses the line, and he goes 4.2 seconds slower thanks to that mistake he made into the first corner. Here comes Amar Carr in the Mercedes. He crosses the line, goes into second place. Franco Lopez crosses the line and goes only fourth place. I wonder if he's on the harder compound of the normal wet. Here comes George Roke now then onto the pit straight, goes the Red Bull driver, and Roke now then crosses the line and he goes into third position. So 1-3 at the moment for the two Red Bulls. Joseph Willows in the McLaren, he now crosses the line himself and he goes into 8th position. As here is Laura Chung in the Lamborghini. She crosses the line and goes into 8th position there. So at the moment it's the usual top 3 at the moment, Byrne, Car and Roke, but it looks like the skies starting to get a little bit brighter. Could we see intermediate conditions a little bit later on in this session?
We could see on the final runs, but we'll have to wait and see on what they do on the second runs.
Yeah, indeed, and some, of course, were on the harder compound on the normal wets. I think one of them might have been Franco Lopez because he's 2 seconds off of Evan Byrne's time at the moment. But Byrne nearly a second quicker than both Carr and Roke at the moment. In fact, only 1,000th separating both Carr and Roke at the moment after that first lap. As Byrne now then makes his way into the pits, and of course he'll be preparing for the second flying lap pretty soon now then in the Red Bull. As he will now pull into his box now then, as he now gets himself prepared to see when the next laps are going to happen for him in the Red Bull. As with just under 9.5 minutes to go so far, it's Byrne, Carr, Roke, Chatfield, Lopez, Macho, Quag, Chung, Willows, and Kupak at the moment that are the top 10. Of course, Kupak made a mistake on his first flying lap, so we expect a much better lap for him on his second attempt. As Macho currently 6th in his home race and looking to do well in front of his home fans, or lack of really, because of the fact that Portimao doesn't have people in the grandstands really, because
Virtual fans.
It's a bit of a weird thing, really, with this track. But I think the 2020 version does have fans, from what I saw with Flow. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. But anyway, as now Kupak now gets wheeled back into the garage, really, as we have just under 9.5 minutes to go. Well, 9 minutes to go, I should say, in this session, as all 10 cars are now back in the pits, as we now wait to see who's going to be first on track this time by. Will it be Byrne again, or will it be somebody else? I'll be interested to see what compound everybody is going to go on the next runs. Of course, we were on the normal wet on that occasion. What is everybody thinking about the next ones? Byrne staying on the normal wet. Anybody going to brave it on the intermediates? At the moment, I'm not seeing anybody on those tyres at the moment. But yeah, it seems like everybody's just going to stick it out on the normal wets for the moment. So it doesn't seem like we're going to get intermediate tyres at this stage. As we have just over 8 minutes to go in this session now then. As we wait to see if anybody's going to move in the pit lane now. Then just looking on the mini-map on the top right of your screen to see if anybody's going to move. As, yeah, that's that really, as we're currently in the garage at the moment with David Kupak in the Alpha Tauri meanwhile. Just waiting to see any movement in the pit lane at the moment.
Yeah.
So it looks like there is somebody moving. Is that going to be Evan Byrne again? No, it's not. It's the Mercedes this time of Amar Khan that's going out onto the racetrack. The sky is definitely getting brighter, but so far the drivers are not braving it out to go onto intermediate tyres at the moment. So that's that. It's still normal wets for Amar Khan. I wonder if any of the ones that went on the harder compound on the normal wet decide to switch on to the softer compound on the second runs. So we'll wait and see on that one, really, as Khan now making his way up the hill through into the left-hander now then. He will go as he now makes his way down towards the hairpin. There is still rain on the camera, as you can see, coming down towards the hairpin, but the sky is still pretty much bright on the racetrack, as now Carr just comes out of that hairpin now, then making his way towards these next section of corners now, then the double right-hander of turn 7 and then turn 8, which is, of course, Samsung. Still a few cars in the pits at the moment. Byrne, Roke, Quag, Chung, and Willow still in the pits, although Roke and Byrne have just gone out onto the track right now as we speak. As now through Craig Jones goes Amar Khan in the Mercedes now as he makes his way through into the double right-hander. As now he's going to start his lap very, very soon now then in the Mercedes as he goes through the left-hander and now into the final few turns will go Amar Khan in the Mercedes now then as he makes his way towards the final couple of turns. He will go now then as he flicks it in through the right-hander and now making his way into the final corner as he'll make his way onto the pit straight very, very soon. Through the final turn and onto the pit straight goes Amar Khan in the Mercedes as he'll now start his lap. Off he goes, and all 10 cars are now on track, so Carr is not going to get any traffic on this lap. Down towards the first corner he goes, as he flicks it in through turn 1, where of course Kupak made his mistake on the first flying lap of Q3. And now into turn 3 goes Amar Khan in the Mercedes. He'll soon come up towards the end of the first sector very, very soon. Up the hill he goes through the left-hander. And let's see what the end of sector 1 is going to look like for Amar Khan. And he's 21 thousandths up on his personal best in sector 1. Let's see what sector 2 and 3 has in store at the moment. But he's still 78 thousandths down on Byrne in the first sector there. Up the little hill he goes before going up towards turn 7 and 8 on the racetrack. So through turn 7 and now into the Samsung corner will go the Mercedes drivers. He flicks it through the right-hander now then. And now heading down towards the left-hander. I think the clouds have actually started to cloud over a bit at this part of the track. As now towards the middle sector goes Amar Khan. Nobody in front, so we should be able to take Portimao pretty fine indeed. As he's actually only 28 thousandths up on his personal best in the middle sector now then. So I think he might have actually lost a little bit of time. No, he actually gained a little bit, but only by 7 thousandths in the middle sector there, so we'll see if he's able to improve going into the final couple of the corners. But at the moment, he's got nothing to match Byrne at this stage now. Then, as he now comes out of the penultimate turn and now into the final corner, goes Armar Carr in the Mercedes through the final turn onto the pit straight now. Then he will go as Armar Carr comes across the line. Can he improve on his personal best? And he can, and goes in, still improves, but remains in second place. Now only 8 tenths behind. There's Lopez up on his personal best, but still down on Byrne in that middle sector by over a second, and he's still only 5th. Did he stay on the normal hards, or is he just struggling in these conditions? Still P5 for him. Macho goes into 4th. A good time for him there. Gets himself up into 4th, pushes Lopez down to 6th as a result. David Coupon, of course, up on his personal best because, of course, he made a mistake on his first flying lap. He crosses the line, but only into 8th position on that occasion. Pushes Willows down to 10th. Chatfield across the line. He goes into 4th now. Gets himself in front of Michael Macho. Rokop on his personal best, meanwhile, as he now crosses the line. What's it like compared to Evan Byrne? And he goes into 3rd position. Still behind Carr. Byrne doesn't improve, stays on 125.0. Quag up on his personal best. He crosses the line, goes into 7th place for the moment. Chung up on her personal best, but still 1.6 seconds off of Byrne in the middle sector now. Then there's the Lamborghini driver making her way through towards the final couple of corners. Willow's also up on his personal best, and well, he's 1.5 seconds off of Byrne. So in fact, he's going a little bit quicker than Chung in the middle sector now. Then as Chung makes her way through the final turn and onto the pit straight now, then she will go, and she will now come across the line now then, and she improves but stays in 9th. Willow's across the line, goes up into 8th position, so a big improvement there for the McLaren driver, and I think they are the second runs done with. Now, is anybody going to get out on track and do one more flying lap, I wonder? But it looks like to me, Ra, we're not going to see the intermediate conditions.
Yeah, very unlikely we're going to be seeing intermediate conditions, so there's going to be no more wet conditions, it seems. But yeah, for an unprofessional pole at the moment, Lopez started 6th. Not ideal for him.
Considering his rival is currently at the top of the timing screens at the moment. Will we get one more flying lap in, though? We'll have to wait and see, as we have just over 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine who will take pole position for tomorrow's Portuguese Grand Prix here at Portimao, as the Haas now then comes into the pits of Michael Macho, who's currently in 5th, looking good for a good grid position, is Michael Macho at the moment in the Haas. And, well, he's going to be 10 places above Bartjes Kloss at the minute, I think, because I think he's starting down in 15th, if I'm not mistaken, from Q2. Really, I'm just going to double check on that, in fact, and yeah, it is P15 for Bartjes Kloss in the Haas, as we now wait for the to see if anybody else is going to go out on track. Willows and Chung are still out there. I think that might be their session done with as a result. They're still coming up towards the penultimate corner, looking on the mini map now then. But yeah, that's that really, as now just over 2 minutes to go now then in the session, as they need to get out before the 1 minute 25 mark, otherwise they'll have no chance in trying to do another flying lap in this session, as Q-Pock is in the garage right now, as both Willows and Chung are now back into the pits for both McLaren and Lamborghini respectively, as the seconds continue to tick down. 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44 now then, 43, as it looks like a Mercedes might be going out. That's Armar Carr, so it looks like he's going to give himself one more chance to try and see if he can beat Evan Byrne to the top of the timing screens now then. Out on track then goes Armar Carr, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, and that's that then. So it's only really Carr that can get one more lap in. Everybody else is done with, so Byrne's got to hope he's done enough to get pole position. But I wonder if the conditions may be starting to get a little bit heavier, because I did allude to that the clouds were clouding in again during those second laps.
Yeah, maybe the conditions have gone worse, and we'll see. I mean, Carl will need to find over 8 tenths to snatch pole away from Evan Byrne, but yeah, he's going to need a miracle here if he wants to take pole position.
Yep, indeed, but at the moment it seems the man who's probably in the best position for the grid is probably George Roke, because we've seen in the last couple of seasons that if you start in 3rd place, chances are that you're probably going to take the lead into the first corner, but hasn't always been the case across all the series, but we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be the same case for George Roke in 3rd position, because you get a bit of a run going into the first corner. I wonder if that's going to be the same case for George Roke as well. We'll have to wait and see on that, as Armar Carr now they're making his way into the final couple of the corners, and he will start his final flying lap. He'll be hoping there's no traffic by the time he gets back around the racetrack, as he now comes around the final corner. And onto the pit straight now, then we will go. There is some movement in the pit lane, but I wonder, can Carr get ahead of that bit of traffic before they get out of the track now then? And he will do, so it looks like Carr will get a clean lap here as 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now 0. And the checkered flag is out. That is the end of qualifying. Carr through into turn number 3, then he goes, as he'll now go around turn 4. And let's see what his first sector time is going to look like now then as he approaches the end of the first sector now then. What is Carr's first sector? He's up on Byrne in the first sector by 0.2 of a second. So Carr has gone out on track and the rain has cleared away. So Carr has set a purple first sector. Could he snatch pole off of Evan Byrne here as he now comes around the left-hander and now into turn 7 and 8 now then will go the Mercedes driver. Now into the Samson corner goes Amar Carr as he now comes out of that turn, making his way down towards Craig Jones now then, and he will now come up towards the double right-hander of Portimao. Through the left-hander we go, and now into the double right-hander of Portimao goes Amar Carr in the Mercedes now. They flicks it through the right-hander. Let's see what his middle sector looks like compared to Evan Byrne, and he's lost a bit of time to him in the middle sector. He's only 62 thousandths up now on Byrne, but he's still purple in the middle sector. Let's see. This is going to be extremely close here between Byrne and Carr, I think, in this last sector. As Amar Carr now then making his way into the penultimate corner. Can he snatch pole position off of Evan Byrne now then as he makes his way towards the final corner now then? Through the right-hander goes Amar Carr. Is it going to be enough to snatch pole off of Evan Byrne? Down the pit straight, Amar Carr across the line. Is it going to be pole position? No, it's not. He misses out by 0.2 of a second. He misses out. Quag went out on inters, but it's already too late for that. But as a result of that, with Carr just missing out, it is Evan Byrne who takes pole position for tomorrow's Portuguese Grand Prix, and we're now going to stay silent and allow you to see how Byrne got that pole position. And that is how Evan Byrne took pole position for tomorrow's Portuguese Grand Prix. A very good lap indeed. I did think for a moment, was Carr going to snatch pole off him there on the final lap? But in the end, Carr lost the time in the final 2 sectors, and Byrne did just enough to get pole position for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Exactly what he needed, considering Lopez is a little bit further down the field for tomorrow's race. But anyway, here is your top 10 for tomorrow's race. Evan Byrne is on pole position with Amar Carr in second. George Roke is in third position. Maybe has a good chance to maybe take the lead into the first corner. Chris Chatfield, a very good session for him. He starts in fourth. Michael Mocho, a great session in his home race. He will start in fifth. Franco Lopez with a bit to do in sixth place. He'll be disappointed with that. Roman Quagg in seventh. Joseph Willows, a great effort for him in the McLaren. He starts in eighth with Davey Kupok in ninth. And Lord Chung completing the top 10 in the Lamborghini. But yeah, hopefully it should be a good race tomorrow, Ra.
Yeah, hopefully it should be a good race. And going to be interesting to see what Lopez can do from 6th, also what Brennan can do from outside the top 10 in 11th, also Galloway and Silverstone at the back of the grid.
Yep, indeed. Well, there you have it then. That has been it from the Portuguese Grand Prix qualifying session. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very entertaining session throughout, and hopefully we're in for a good race indeed tomorrow. Of course, we're not with live streams just yet, because coming up in just over 50 minutes time we'll of course have the Formula 2 race here at Portimao, so hopefully it should be a good race for them as well. But in the meantime, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed, so thank you all for watching. I'm JW97, he's been Ra, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 PM BST for the 66 lap Portuguese Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Goodbye.